Welcome back to another episode of Tell Me Sis podcast, featuring your two favorite sisters,
Alex
and Kyla.
What's up? I hope everyone is having a good Thursday, a good rest of the week. We had our guest episode go live last week, and then the episode that we had posted like a few days later, we had recorded the week prior, and I think we had mentioned in that episode that there was a delay.
Yeah, we did.
We did. So, anyway, we finally got the approval and went up today, which is a Tuesday. So again, apologies about that. When it comes to sponsorships and just working with different clients, you can have a time frame of things you want, but it doesn't always necessarily go the way that you want. And sometimes it just takes longer. So anyway, the episode is up. I hope you guys enjoy. We really had a good chat with Dr. Marissa Joseph.
I learned a lot that
Same.
episode. It was really interesting.
Yeah. And actually, like, since that episode, every time I'm outside at the beach, I'm a little bit more diligent with SPF on myself, but also my kids, and like making sure they always have their hat on, like to cover the scalp. Because I used to be like, oh, it's fine. They're just going to be like in and out of the shade. It's like whatever. But I don't know. It just made me.
Well, I started wearing it even when I'm not in the sun.
Yeah.
'Cause she was saying even the what's it called? The UV from your phone screens, your computer screens, anything with a screen.
Even through the window.
Exactly. So I mix a little bit of sunscreen with my moisturizer. I've been doing that.
That's good.
And I also have just been focusing more on getting either a spray tan or like applying my own self tanner. I'll still sit out in the sun. I don't want to be like, paranoid or anything. But,
yeah.
And that wasn't she wasn't trying to like make anyone paranoid. It's just bringing awareness and educating people. But yeah, I remember when I was young, I used to sit out in the sun for hours, and there were a few times I got really burnt.
Yeah.
And that's something that I learned from Dr. Joseph, but also I know someone else who's a dermatologist, and they also told me that like a lot of times skin cancer comes from like a burn that you got years prior.
Yeah.
So
remember when I got sun poisoning on my face in Mexico? Yes. And like it was really bad. Like the degree of burn I had was awful. That sun damage will probably really show what it did in like the next 10 years. Yeah. I would say. So I've just been a bit more hyper aware of getting my skin checked a bit more regularly now that I have like a foot in the door with a dermatologist from last year or whenever it was. I'm just going to go a bit more often to get things checked. But it was a really great episode. It was our first like official interview with someone who isn't somebody we know.
Yeah.
So we have another one this week actually that we're recording.
Yes.
Same kind of vibe. We don't know her super well, but we've kind of spoken with her one-on-one once prior. So I'm very excited for that episode to go live probably in the next few weeks. And we're really enjoying having these guest episodes, I have to say.
That's a lot of, it's a lot of fun we were kind of talking about it. I don't remember which episode we were talking about it in. But after we interviewed Dr. Joseph, or maybe we had it when we weren't recording, I don't remember. But interviewing someone is definitely a talent.
Yeah.
But it's fun.
It is fun.
I don't know how to explain it. You need to obviously have questions prepared, but then as the conversation is flowing, you need to be able to steer a conversation in the right direction and ask a question that she didn't or like the person you're interviewing didn't already answer. Anyways, it's just, it's cool. It's a lot of fun. It's a little bit of a challenge, which I like.
Yeah.
But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed that episode.
I also think it's cool as well because when we first started recording this podcast, like if you listen back to our old episodes, we probably were a lot cringier than we are now because we were overthinking a lot of things we were saying because it was new. I mean, we had been doing social media before, so it wasn't as awkward, but
there's like, I'm sure I've said things in so many episodes, like in season 1, maybe even season 2, that like I wouldn't even want to listen back to.
Yeah. I mean, that's just life, right? Actually would go well with the episode of like this theme.
Yes.
Which we'll get back to, but
we'll get into.
Yes, we'll get in a bit because I want to do life updates.
Sorry, I didn't mean to be annoying there. I hate when people correct me. When I'm talking and then someone corrects me, I'm like,
oh my God, that literally went over my head.
Oh, okay, well, never mind.
Also, it doesn't really bother me because I'm like, oh, maybe I want to be corrected.
Yeah.
Because you don't do it in like a know-it-all way. You're not like and making me feel stupid.
I don't do it all the time too. That's what it gets under my skin. Someone who's constantly correcting you when you're speaking, or like,
does that happen a lot?
There's certain people that like I've come across that
really
they like correct things, and it's like fucking annoying at a certain point.
I feel like that would happen when we were kids, and like an older kid would be like, it's this, not this. But like as adults, I don't really have, unless I really say something like that doesn't make sense, that they would correct me on. But oh my gosh, someone that's constantly correcting you would be exhausting.
It's like the type of person that's very rigid in their thinking, like almost like if like they're not everything that you say is taken too seriously kind of thing, if you know what I mean. Like they can't see the bigger picture of things, right, or like just kind of like understand what it is that you're saying, and they take everything very literally. Okay, and so they have to correct that way.
I do that sometimes. Dan is like, he'll be telling a story to somebody and he'll be like, yeah, it took us like 45 minutes to get there. I'm like, actually it took us like 55 minutes. And he's like, okay, semantics, Alex, like the 10-minute difference, relax.
Yeah,
I'm like, why did I do that? But like I do it, and he tells me, he's like, stop.
Yeah.
And I just realized now when you said that, I'm like, oh crap, wait, yeah, okay,
it's
maybe
like,
do that.
Anyways, but what was I gonna say? I just lost my train of thought.
Do you remember when we had that conversation when you were editing our podcast, and you're like, we cut each other off all the time, and we go on tangents all the time.
We never finish.
It's really self-aware watching back an episode and being like, I say like all the time. I say all the time. I can't articulate.
I say like all the time, and I just cut you off. Sorry.
It's okay. Can't articulate. We're just so used to it. This is the thing, is that you and I and a lot of our friends and our family, this is how we talk. This is how we converse. It's very natural and normal for us. It's not weird. It's only weird when other people point it out, and then I start to notice it because people have pointed it out before, but no one's pointed it out in my actual real life circle. It's only online, and it made me be very like hyper aware of conversations.
Yeah. It's definitely frustrating when, I mean, our family, it's true. Like we all cut each other off constantly. Both sides, yeah. But we also have, I mean, one side's Italian and the other side is Hungarian, but like both sides, very strong personalities. Like
strong, yeah. Strong is a good word.
Yeah, very strong personalities. But anyways, so that's just how we are.
But Dan told me too one time, because I was like, you keep cutting me off, and he was like, because if I don't cut you off, you just literally never stop speaking. Like I won't have a chance to get anything in. And I'm like, that's rude. But then it's like, wait, maybe he has a point of, because I talk a lot. Yeah. And then I just like, I go from one topic to the other, to the other, to the other. And he was like, there's nowhere for me to. So that is something that I have been trying to be better at.
Yeah.
Not taking over the room. Because I even notice sometimes in conversations with other people, I'm like, I'll say like, have I been talking too much? And they'll be like, no, not at all. It's like so interesting. But then I'm like, wait, maybe I have been talking too much.
Well, no, it's not like what you're like talking about isn't interesting, or that like no one wants to hear you, but like
I just don't shut up.
Also, it's different. Like you're in a marriage with Dan. He's with you like all the time. Mm-hmm. So I guess like other people, maybe they don't notice it as much, or like they have more patience, or maybe you just like naturally give them more wiggle room to like,
maybe,
you know, contribute to the conversation. One
of my friends said that she's more of like an introverted person, and she likes when I'm around in social situations because I'm very extroverted and I talk, and she feels comfortable because she's not awkward like thinking about what I need to say next, because I talk so much, and she's just like, oh, okay, I'm like a part of the conversation without having to feel like I need to say something all the time.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah.
It's like, okay. I also didn't realize I was an extrovert until this summer. I really realized how much I thrive off being around other people.
Yeah, you've always been more of a, well, I mean, like except for the times that you were having really bad anxiety, but even at that, it's not like you didn't want to see people. It's just that you were like in your own, like your comfort zone was being at home, but like you still had friends, you were like doing things. You've always been more extroverted.
Do you consider yourself an introvert or an extroverted introvert? Like around people you know.
Yeah, so it depends on who I'm with. I would say that I'm naturally just more reserved.
Yeah.
But
does reserved mean introvert? I don't think so. Does it?
I don't really know, but I definitely know I'm reserved. I'm an extrovert who has a limited social battery, I would say.
Yeah.
Because I don't really know, like, an extrovert's someone who likes being around people.
And I think you get your energy from being around people, whereas introverts get their energy from, like, being alone. So, like, they need to, like, if they do something with a lot of people, they definitely need to, like, recoup after.
Yeah, I do need that as well. But, like, then, I don't know. I feel like I'm both. But, like, I'm very selective with, like, the people that, like, when I'm comfortable with someone, when I know someone very well and, like, you know, we've established like a really deep bond, like in a friendship or like just in any kind of relationship, I'm definitely I'm more extroverted, and I'm not socially awkward. That's not something I think I've ever really struggled with.
No, never. You've never been socially awkward, and you've always been very, very outgoing and friendly.
Yeah. Like I'm never I'm not a socially awkward person, but like I
think it's because you're self-aware.
Yeah, I'm also just like hyper vigilant. So like I could pick up on things like energies and like I don't know, like I feel like I could walk into a room and like almost instinctively know, okay, this person, like I'm not gonna like go too close to that person. Like I'll
even without talking to them.
Yeah,
I love
doesn't
that.
mean I'm not like saying I'm a psychic and that like I know for sure, but like sometimes it's just like instincts that like kind of kick in where I'm like something about this person, like I don't trust them. I don't want to be around them.
Whoa, that's actually so fascinating to me.
Yeah, and so I think in that sense it could be very draining and like kind of I don't know how to explain it, but like I won't want to even engage much with like specific people, and like other people won't pick up on the same thing as quickly. Like if I'm out and like I'm with my friends and stuff and like we meet someone or like I'm introduced to someone and I can just tell right away, I'm like, this person, there's something off with them.
Whoa.
But then like I know I have friends who are like very extroverted.
Okay.
And like they don't pick up on the same thing. I'm not saying I'm like superior in any way, but like
no,
you know what I mean?
There is a sense of superiority with that though, because I feel like since you're, first of all, you're self-aware, but then you're saying you're hypervigilant, you're able to pick up on things. And so you know in social settings who you want to talk to, who you don't want to talk to, who you want to spend your time with. And then in turn, your friends who are extroverted, that goes over their head, let's say. But if they are more aware of like you and like what you're feeling and your vibe, and they stick kind of closer to you, they might not be around someone who could be not a great person for somebody.
Yeah, and sometimes it's not even like that I'm picking up on like this person isn't great. It's just more like there's not much I would have in common with this type of person.
Okay, so it's not like, oh, that person's toxic or this person is...
I mean, sometimes, yeah, but like for the most part, my friends don't really... It's not like they like hang out with like really toxic people or anything like that. It's just like, I don't know how to explain it. Anyways,
I would love to be in a social setting with you with a bunch of people we don't know and like just kind of follow you around and see how that works, like as a social experiment, just to see if I'm also able to pick up on things. 'Cause I feel like I always think everyone is like amazing when I meat people. That's just always my issue.
I'm very discerning with that kind of stuff. Like I'll like spot like the nonverbal things like facial expression or like body language.
That's a really interesting skill to
sometimes
have.
I'll be in like a group setting, let's say, and I'm meeting a bunch of people for the first time. I can tell like when someone doesn't really like someone else, but they're not saying anything, and maybe no one else would like pick up on it. I'll pick up on it.
Whoa. Did you have that throughout high school? Like, were you able to tell certain things?
Yeah.
Or did it get more like stronger as you got older?
I think I just, with more experience and with age, more experience and more self-awareness, definitely. Like I'm like more aware of it now.
Yeah.
Whereas in high school, it was just kind of like I would pick up on things, but like I thought like everyone could, maybe. I don't know. I didn't like think about it much in high school.
I have a friend who's similar to you in certain things, like with what you're saying right now. And
also, I'm not always right. Sometimes I have noticed that, like,
well, you're human.
I'll pick up on things and like I'm not right.
Yeah.
You know, I'll be wrong sometimes. But for the most part, I feel like it's pretty accurate. But yeah, continue. Sorry.
That's okay. So my friend was saying that there was one time we were in a group setting, we were just chatting about something, and we're with all these moms and these women that I feel comfortable with, and I do that typical thing where sometimes I'll word vomit and I just talk too much and then I regret it the next day. I'm like, why did I spill all that information to people I don't really know that well? And it's almost like I needed to vent.
Yeah.
And so the next day, one of my friends, she came up to me and she was like, can I give you a hug? I'm like, yeah, why? And I was like in a bubbly mood. So I'm like, oh, that's okay, random, but sure. She gave me like a really nice like hug and was just rubbing me. She's like, that must have been hard yesterday. And I was like, what? She goes, well, you know what you're talking about with everyone. Like, it's hard going through. And I just literally broke down. Like, I didn't even realize internally how much I needed to have that conversation with these group of women who were so supportive and so nice. Some of them are a lot older than me and some of them are around my age, but a lot of them comes from just different backgrounds. And like, because they're women that are older and deal with similar situations, they were just very validating and like it was just really nice. So I needed that, but I didn't realize how much I actually needed it until she hugged me.
I think it's also like, one, yes, it's nice in the moment when you're venting to have like to be around people that are very supportive and understanding and like they show like a lot of empathy and they comfort you and whatnot. But like it's a completely different feeling that you get when someone like it sticks with them and they still acknowledge it after the conversation happened, sometimes even days later.
Yeah.
And they like bring it up again.
Yeah.
Because they're genuinely concerned. Like you could tell that it stuck with them and they care. Because I find that is very rare.
Well, I think that's probably why I like got emotional, because I didn't even realize a lot of the times growing up, if I was going through something, instead of always getting like a validation, and like not that you need to have a validation with everything. Sometimes you need to be told like, okay, you know, this is your issue. But for the most part, it wasn't validating. It was like, what did you do wrong in the situation to make this person feel this way about you? Like, it was always like a devil's advocate. And so to have just like a bunch of women in a motherly role, to get that validation from so much of that at the same time, it was like craving. I was like, oh my gosh, like this feeling, because it's not from a therapist who's being paid.
Yeah.
And it's not from my friends who are just being my friends. It's also from women that I don't know them very well, but they're all, like I said, they come from different walks of life and they get it. And it was just, and they're moms, and it was like, I felt like a kid.
Yeah.
And like these moms were just like comforting me. And then the next day, because my friend is also a mom, the way she was like hugging me, and it was almost like in a motherly role, and it healed something that I didn't even think was wounded.
That is, I think, one of the core issues that I have that I'm working through is that's like where my perfectionism stemmed from. And part of being a perfectionist is imposter syndrome. So like I could still get the validation from people and be like have an experience exactly like that, and it would almost make me feel like, okay, but I don't believe it about myself, so like maybe they're just trying to support me to be nice. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's like an added layer.
Yeah,
that you have to work on.
Exactly. And like it's made me have a hard time, like I became a people pleaser to a certain extent.
Yeah.
To a certain extent. And I would have like a really hard time speaking my mind and setting boundaries.
There's so much that people can relate to when it comes to this topic. I just don't want to hurt someone's feelings. Obviously, we're talking about like our upbringing, but like we had the best parents in so many ways, and like they obviously did the best that they thought they could do with what the information they were given. Like,
yeah,
I always remind myself that anything I went through, as a child, as a teenager, as a young adult, like my mom was also going through that the first time as a parent.
Yeah.
Like she was learning through me. And then with my sister, okay, she did it before with me, but my sister's a completely different person. So yeah, although she did it before, you have to parent differently for your different kids, and they all have different needs, and learning their needs is something a parent, I feel like, should do. But back then they didn't really have the resources that we do now. Like social media can be negative in so many ways, but I think there's a lot of positives in the fact that you can educate yourself on so many different aspects and really choose to hone in on something to make not just your life better, but your children's lives better. And I think one of those things is really learning their love languages, what they need to feel seen and heard and validated, and what you can do to help them through different challenges in life and have them feel like they can trust you. Because our parents did the best job that they could. Like they never ever wanted anything bad for us, ever. They wanted us to have the best life. It's just also their trauma from their upbringing in certain aspects and things they went through. It follows you.
And even with all the resources that we have in our generation, and the fact that like therapy is no longer a stigma like it once was. It's like our generation's still not going to be perfect as well. Like there's always going to be things that you're going to pass down to your children. It's inevitable. But the fact that our generation, like, we really did luck out in the sense of like, people starting to talk about things online through social media, like on like the good side of things. And then also with people spreading awareness and acceptance about therapy and stuff. It's not as stigmatized anymore.
I really believe millennials, we're just the best generation. And I know a lot of people say, millennials have so much trauma because of like our parents' generations. I would disagree with that because, and I'm not saying that to invalidate your traumas. What I'm saying is that we were the last generation to grow up in childhood without social media. We still had technology. We had TV, we could go rent movies, all that fun stuff. But we were, for the most part, playing outside.
Yeah.
We still had a childhood that wasn't iPads and like quick. Everything was so fast. It was very much more slow paced and easygoing and chill. But then we did have social media later on in life and are getting to learn through social media still early enough to make changes. It's not like so later on in life. I feel like we really had, like, if you're born in the 90s, like late 80s to late 90s, I feel like that is probably, like, in my opinion, one of the best decades for just being self-aware.
Yeah, because we weren't born into social media where it's like from such a young age it's shaping you. Mm-hmm. But we weren't much older yet to the point where like we just completely don't understand it and like not even open to.
Exactly.
Like we just bash on specific things.
And that's the thing too. Like when my kids are older, I hope that they can like sit down and have a conversation with me and tell me like ways they think that like I messed up or things that hurt them, and like we can have an open and honest conversation about it where it doesn't get to be like heated or that I'm feeling like I am an awful mom or an awful person and that I completely fucked them up. Like I hope we can have these conversations as we're growing together.
Yeah. Well, we did really luck out with mom and dad because I feel like we can have those conversations with them.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just, it kind of actually ties into one of my life updates somewhat, which is the fact that I got a life coach.
Oh, yes. I want to ask you about that.
So I have a life coach. I had a consult meeting with her, which was 30 minutes, just to see if we're the right fit. And then I had my first session with her yesterday, which was the full hour.
Wait, when you have it's different than therapy, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So basically, I even Googled the difference between a life coach and a therapist. So, I mean, there's different therapists and there's different life coaches. So it really depends on you and like what it is that you're looking for. So with therapy, they have an actual degree in psychology, and I'm pretty sure like you have to go all the way to a PhD or like, depending on like the type of therapy you're doing at least. And they focus more on like your past, how it shaped you, your behavioral patterns, your traumas, and they help you understand yourself and work through these things
to move forward
and they give you tools and stuff like to like how to like manage your emotions better and just, you know, raise self-awareness and self-acceptance and like understand where these things come from and all that stuff. And whereas a life coach, they focus more on your current state and they give you tools to move forward.
Okay, so it's not as much about the past.
It's not as much about the past. Like you can, depending on the life coach you have, you can give them things that like you have to give them context, especially when you start off. But it's much more like you could get a life. There's so many different types of life coaches, but like for me specifically, I got a life coach for when it comes to my business. But a lot of, you know, the way I am in my professional life is shaped by my own behavioral patterns and like stuff like that. So like the life coach I have taps into, it's more of like a trauma informed life coach.
Oh, okay.
But specifically when it comes to your profession. Okay,
so how you can move forward in a professional setting that your personal traumas don't play into that.
Well, it's in a way, so like the approach my life coach takes, she takes a somatic approach and what's the other one? I forget what it's called because I'm like learning all these terms now. But she basically like, so I have perfectionism and there's like different types of perfectionism, but like I'm very much the type of person who I tie my identity and my worth into my work and like how productive I am, how good I am at what I'm doing. The feedback that I get.
I can relate.
And I have like these unrealistic expectations and standards for myself. If any sort of like criticism, like even like constructive criticism, I'll take it as like it
attacks your ego.
No, not my identity.
Oh.
Where it's like, oh, I'm incompetent. I'm horrible at what I do. Like I'm stupid. I'm this, I'm that. You know, all these like negative self-talk. And then what was the other one? I have imposter syndrome, like crazy imposter syndrome. And so anytime I do a really good job at something or I'm very successful or like I've been told before that I'm very much a go-getter. I'm the type of person who's like very ambitious. I'm very driven and like I'm a very hard worker. I'm smart. I'm good at what I do. I've been told all these things. And every time I hear it, I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm this. Cause like it's like imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
So she basically, she's helping me work with my own trauma when it comes to my professional life. And I'm also in this phase of life where I'm not sure if I want to be changing career paths or if I want to stay in the same career, but like tailor it so that I'm picking a specific niche of my career that actually aligns with me and my values. And yeah, she guides me in the right direction. She gives me tools and like, you know, she helps me like get started and get organized and like build that motivation back up. Cause I'm also experiencing like a huge burnout this last year. And it's very hard. If anyone's experienced a burnout before, it is so hard to get out of. And it feels almost like suffocating and like it's never gonna end, but like I'm coming out of it, you know, like I'm starting to feel,
you like see the light.
Yeah, I'm starting to feel like more motivated and like excited about things again and stuff.
That's good.
But it's like, but it's scary still, you know. I don't know. It's very, how do you explain it? The unknown is terrifying. But
when you have goals that you're working towards that seem realistic because they're not insane, like you can have those big long-term goals, but you have these smaller ones and you start to hit them and cross little things off your list, it makes you feel more motivated, which then gives you drive, which then makes you work harder, which then in turn, and I'm not saying this to, you know, make it so that you have to feel like this perfectionism of like you need to get these tasks done. It's more just like it's a cycle of you just got to start.
And it's like building more self-trust. That's something that I spoke about, where I was like, I want to build a lot more self-trust. And I'm saying all these things. I don't think that I'm like this like really stupid person. I'm so incompetent. I have no trust in myself. Like these things aren't like, they're there, yes, but like I'm not like, I still know I'm capable of things. I still think positive things about myself too. It's just like that
you want that deep down confidence to be like, if someone were to give you constructive criticism, then you could take that and be like, you know what, like let's apply some of this. Or you could be like, I disagree, and like be confident in that. And you just want to be able to be specifically in a professional setting where you know your standards, your worth, and you know what you bring to the table, and you don't just let people walk all over you.
Yeah, and I also don't internalize things too. Like, you know, if I have an opinion about something, or I like you know, I don't agree with like something that someone is doing or saying, even if they're telling me otherwise and it's very convincing, if I genuinely don't agree with them, I'm not going to be like, oh, well, like they probably know better than me.
No, you don't. Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like that type of thinking.
I feel like if most people were like you, Kyla, and they would do the work to internalize themselves and work on themselves to be better for themselves, especially in a professional setting, do you know how healthy businesses would be?
I know.
Like, it's even crazy that like I was having conversations, I was having conversations with these people about trying to implement something for a community thing that I'm a part of. And they're like, oh, we can't do that. Well, why can't we do that? Oh, because the board says no. Okay, why does the board say no? Well, they have their reasons. What are their reasons? It's like, it's because they just want to sit there and like, they just don't want to do it. Yeah. And they don't want to make it better for everyone else. They don't care. Like, that's really what the reason is. And it's so frustrating that it's like, if everyone can just do the self-work to make it better for themselves, because like you want to be good for yourself, the work environment would be so healthy.
I know. And also what I'm realizing, like, this is another thing I realized too in my like session, was that I'm a very innovative, forward thinking type of person. Mm-hmm. And not a lot of businesses or like managers or CEOs, whatever you want to call it, are like that. And it's tough because...
Well, they stick to what they know because like it works.
Or like people could be like a little bit micromanaging or, you know. And so anyways, like I'm working through like narrowing down the type of work that I want to do. Mm-hmm. And it's really interesting. And another thing is that, what's it called? One of the things that she told me in our session that I was like, oh, I really like this. Like, even though like you get this in therapy as well, but like with therapy, it's a lot more spotting your patterns. You know, with life coaching, and like what she said in the session was that she goes, you know, as an outside observer, like I'm telling you this just objectively, mm-hmm. She goes, the first time we spoke during like our consult meeting last week, you seemed very like burnt out and unsure, and like you were stuck. Mm-hmm. And she goes, whereas like this week I've noticed a huge change in you. You seem a lot more motivated and like interested and feeling like excited about everything. And that's something that I think that you need to recognize mm-hmm. right now. She goes, I'm telling you this just as an outside observer. Yeah, something I've noticed about you. And like pat yourself on the back for that. And I was like, okay, yeah, let's...
What do you think changed in that 1 week? Maybe having a meeting with her.
Maybe.
Like being like, I'm taking a step to like I see hope.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what changed. Because like I also go through like phases, you know? Like
yeah. And also we're women. We have hormones.
Exactly.
Every month is a different...
Yeah.
We have cycle.
Oh my
God.
God.
I feel like it's literally like what you're explaining right now is the perfect segue into today's topic, because it's all about change. And really, as people, we change so much throughout our lives, obviously, like we grow and evolve. But the biggest thing that people don't realize is like changing your mind is actually a really good thing. Mm-hmm. It's a really healthy thing. And a lot of people could have an argument of like the flipping back and forth might not be like the healthiest thing for somebody to do. Like, let's say they have an opinion on something and then they switch the next year and then they switch back and then like that.
Can I just say
is
one
different.
thing though?
Yeah.
So when that's the type, like people that assume that when like you bring up, you know, changing your mind is a good thing. And then like right after you're like basically saying like what the feedback that people would give sometimes, like that is such an all or nothing way. It's so black and white.
I know.
Because just because you change your mind about something doesn't mean you're going to change your mind about everything all the time.
Yeah. And also you have the free will to think what you want. And there's so many times where like I will think a certain way about something for so long, and then over time, over educating myself, like I will switch my mind, and then years later I could go back. You know, like there's so, and depending,
or have an even different
opinion, like depending on the life stage I'm at. And I think it's so normal and so okay to be able to change your mind and really do the self work. We weren't raised in a very like religious household. Mm-hmm. I know that's a huge thing that people go through if they do decide to switch their mind when it comes to that. So that's not necessarily something we have experience with. But I think for us, just our decisions in life, the timeline of how we want things to go. I think for myself personally, and I don't regret anything when it comes to my kids, because I think like I was meant to have these children when I was meant to have these children. But I think if I was a little bit older, like in my mid 30s, and I had my first kid, I think I would have handled postpartum and parenting in a much more mature and relaxed way. Because I think as you age, it just comes with it. For the most part. You know? I think I didn't even necessarily have kids as like a young mom, because I think being in your early 20s is very young to have children. But I was 29 when I had my son, so I still was technically in my 20s. I think I honestly would have thrived as a mother if I had my first kid now. I don't know if that makes sense.
That does. It makes perfect sense, because it's true. Like when the older you get, for the most part, the more secure you feel within yourself. You're a lot more, you become a lot more self-accepting, and you have more self-trust just naturally.
Yeah, you're more mellow too, I feel like.
And you don't care as much about like external things, like external validation or you know, you're more mature, and you know yourself better. Yeah. And you have more experience as well.
I just think I felt rushed. Like I was like, I need to do these things because I'm getting to an age, you know, and I just did it because I just felt like that's what I had to do. And if I can go back and change my mind for that, I think I would. But I don't regret it because I'm so insanely happy with my life and I love my children. Like I do think it was meant to be the way it was meant to be. I just think as a mom, I would have I honestly, not that I was a bad mom though, but I just think that like circumstances would have been like, I just would have been a different mom. Yeah,
like it's more of like you're seeing things from like a different perspective now that you're older and looking back on it in hindsight, which is like, that's how you just like, that's part of like growing up and like.
But even changing careers.
Well, that's the thing, is that I might not even change careers, but like, you know, do the same thing I have been doing, but like understanding my values a lot more and my triggers and my how to work through specific things, and like, you know, have different, like shift my standards so they're still realistic, but like higher standards, because it's weird with me. Like I would take on a job in the past that like, just because I was like, oh, like, you know, the money was really good,
or like you need
and
a
I
job.
just wanted to secure it as soon as possible. But like there were so many other things that were red flags that I just, you know, I didn't have standards with those, because I was like, oh, it's the best I could get probably, you know? Yeah. Like a limited belief system in that sense. Whereas now it's like, no, I have a lot of experience. I'm good at what I do. Yeah. There's other job opportunities that could come. And like, yes, of course, like, you know, people, like, you need a job, you need to get paid and stuff like that. So it's like, I'm not saying just take all the time you need and like have no job. But when it comes to getting a new job, like, have standards with it, you know? Like, for me, I need the company culture to be a certain way.
Yeah.
I need
well, you need open and honest communication that is healthy.
Exactly. And like, just a lot more creative freedom.
Yeah.
The niche that I'm looking into is also like a little bit different now. But like, anyways, we won't get like too much into it because it's like stuff that's like more, I don't want to say personal because it sounds like it's such a big thing. But it's just whatever. Like, I'm not gonna give everything away. But all that to say, I think that, yeah, with age, you have more experience. Or you get more experience with age. Mm-hmm. And once you have that experience under your belt and, you know, you've had hopefully some maturing that's happened.
Yeah.
Things change naturally. Your opinion will change. What you're interested in changes. Your bandwidth and threshold for things change.
Also, the life stage you're in too, like whether or not you have kids, things change with that as well. I was having a conversation with a friend of mine, an old friend of mine, and it was hard because the stage I'm at right now in my life and how busy I am just being a mom in the summer, because of, like, you remember when we were kids, how busy our schedules would be.
Yeah.
And it's tough. I have young children and I'm super involved in their activities and I'm very, very busy, which means I don't have as much time to see other people, which sucks because I do miss these people, but that's just the way of life. Unfortunately, I'm so invested in this right now. These are my children. And so in the past, when I used to think to myself, I will never be that person that's not going to see X, Y, and Z because of my kids. I'll always make time. That had to change because, and it's not that I don't value these relationships or I don't care about these people. It's that I need to be fully present in what I'm doing with my kids right now. I only have them at this age for a very small amount of time and I am so invested, and it just takes priority, unfortunately, to other relationships in my life. And that's not to say you, by the way, because you're very much involved.
I wasn't even thinking that.
Okay. But anyway, it's like, it's been tough because I don't know how to explain that because they're not in the same situation. Yeah. And so it makes people feel like I'm neglecting these relationships, which technically I am, but it's not because I don't care. It's because I don't have the time in these 2 months of the summer.
Yeah, actually, you know what? It's interesting you say that because something that was on my mind recently was female friendships in general.
Yeah.
Women in general tend to prioritize the second there's a man in their life, whether it's an actual relationship or just a guy situationship kind of thing or whatever it is.
Yeah.
They will prioritize the man. And a lot of the time they end up neglecting their female friends. And it's one thing, like as the, how do you explain it? Like changing the older you get, the less likely it is that you do it. Like when you're younger, it's a lot more common.
Yeah, I was going to say no one does that now. Everyone is like telling their husbands to fuck off.
Well, that's also different when you've been married for a while, you have kids and stuff.
Okay, you're talking more like...
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
But...
like it's new. It's a new relationship.
It's like changing but you are right. Like the older you get, the less common it is for women to just completely like almost practically abandon their female friendships. Now you and, just focus on the guy. But it still does. It happens,
it does, I'm sure.
Especially in the early stages. So... yeah. Which is totally understandable. It's normal. And like, you know, especially when you're older and you do get into a relationship, like you're going to be spending less time with your friends naturally.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about like the people, the type of people that it like revolves around the guy kind of thing.
Like all their decision making, all of the expectations of everything, their life.
Yeah, or like just where they decide to like focus all of their energy and prioritize specific, like just, you know, like they put all of like the guy becomes their entire world. And then the second the guy leaves the picture, then like the friend is back. But then the second the guy comes back, then like they disappear again,
right.
that type of thing. And so changing your mentality from like holding resentment for people that either can't be happy for you when like you do have a guy in your life, and then also on the flip side, changing your perspective when it comes to having a friend like that and like trying not to take it personally. And you know what I mean? It's like I don't know if I'm explaining myself properly.
I completely understand. Like, let's say I'm just going to use you as an example, okay? Yeah. So you and I, we're friends. There's a new guy in my life. And you've been helping me. I've been chatting to you about him, whatever. We start dating. I don't see you as much anymore.
Yeah.
Something happens. I'm not talking to him as much anymore. There's drama, whatever. I'm needing advice. I get to my girlfriends. We're super close again. He comes back, wants me back. I'm gone again.
Yeah.
And so you're saying the change should be kind of on both ends of like me as the person who is going back and forth with this guy, to not like, I don't know how to explain this part, but for you, I would say like you would change to not take it personally for me. Like, yeah, like I'm not doing it personally. Like these are my issues.
Yeah, clearly. And it doesn't mean that you don't care.
Yeah,
you know, like reframing instead of like jumping to conclusions. Be like, okay, why is it? Like, what's the deeper issue that's going on with this person that's making them behave this way? And like, can I empathize with it? Kind of thing. You know what I mean?
But then also, it's hard because you also do want to have like your standards of, well, like I don't want a friendship like this constantly.
So that's another thing that you can also change your mind on.
So it comes down to what you want as a person, your self-worth, and what you think you deserve. Mm-hmm. I find sometimes with friendships,
communication is always key. We've said this so many times in our episodes.
It's really hard when someone is not doing the self-work and you are, and you can like almost like not even diagnose them, but because you do so much therapy, you can almost see exactly their patterns and what they're doing and what they're actually meaning and like their passive aggressive ways of saying something. And the hardest thing for me is to not like get triggered by it and like want to argue back, and to just like kind of read between the lines. Like someone saying X, Y, and Z, and it's like hurtful, but it's like they're actually saying I'm hungry. No, I'm hungry. They're actually saying I miss you.
Yeah.
Like without saying I miss you.
Yes.
And it's like that is what I find hard, because it's like I don't want to be your therapist. I don't want it to be hard. Like a relationship shouldn't be such hard work to the point where it's never fun.
Oh no, that is no.
Like it takes work to have a relationship with someone, but it shouldn't never be fun. And I've had definitely throughout my adult years relationships that have been more challenging, and I've had to let some of those people go, and not just in like a cutout way. It's just like we phased apart because you're so different. What's hard is having conversations with people that don't do self-work and that are not self-aware and like can't see things that are hard to deal with.
Yeah,
or so they can't read between the lines.
Yes, that is a huge thing for me. Someone who can't. I don't like, and this is something that I'm also trying to change in my behavior, which is like not biting my tongue as much so early on when I'm like seeing the signs that are so clear, but like someone that is unable to just take a fucking hint, you know, and they like overstep boundary. Like they're not malicious, like not a bad person at all, but like there's just always like that sense where I don't want to say like your boundaries are being crossed, because it almost makes it sound like how do you explain it? Just my overall change in perspective is the second someone comes into my life and I pick up on like a type of energy that I just know is going to be like more one-sided than not, which is fine every once in a while in a friendship. Doesn't need to be perfect all the time.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's moments where it's a little bit more one-sided, but like then it goes back to equal or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But like there are certain people, like they come into your life and you just tell right away, like this is going to be a very one-sided type of thing.
Especially at this point in our lives. You know, like right now it's
like,
quality
it's
over quantity.
And it's okay. You're just not compatible.
Yeah. Like, it doesn't mean that they're a bad person or that you're a bad person. Like, I find that one of the hardest things for me, because I'm now meeting so many more people with my son is getting older and doing a lot more activities. I'm meeting like the parents of these kids, and I'm seeing the difference also in age. So like how people communicate, how people organize themselves, how people converse with you. It's very different, because it'll be like, I just turned 35 and I'll be talking to people all the way up to 50. All these, because parents, they could have 4 kids and their 4th kid is the same age as Arkham, but then their eldest is like 18.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm seeing like different walks of life, and it's really fascinating to me because I'm learning so much just about parenting and about communication skills.
Yeah. And probably in a few years from now, certain opinions you have about being a parent are going to change.
Oh, 100%. They've already changed from before I had kids, or from when Archie was a baby.
Exactly. And like, you know,
It's
what?
insane.
The perfect example too, it's like kind of random, but when people were watching Gossip Girl when you were younger.
Yeah.
And they liked Serena more than Blair. And then you get older and you realize that like
Serena's toxic.
And Blair is the one that people like a lot more because she's real and authentic.
Yeah.
Or like Sex in the City, people are like, the older you get and you watch Sex in the City again and you think back and you're like, oh my God, Carrie is such a bad friend.
I know.
And Samantha is actually...
What a good analogy, honestly. That just put it into such a good perspective to understand.
You know, because like when you're younger, you don't have as much experience. You think, oh, Samantha's unhinged. She's this, she's that. She's like way too blunt and honest and like has no... Like she's almost like, I don't want to say the word, but just promiscuous.
Yeah.
And like Carrie's the one that wants to find true love, and she's such a good woman, and she's always so sweet. And,
she's like such a bad friend.
And then you get older and you're like, wait a second, you are such a bad friend. And
I know.
Samantha is the one that's like, she's like her.
I know. It's actually like, that is the perfect example, is when you watch something in your 20s or in your late teens and you think a certain way, and you rewatch it in your 30s and you are complete opposite, because you've had so much more life experience and you get it.
Yeah.
And I'm sure when we're in our 40s and our 50s.
I even noticed that like when I give advice now to my friends about certain things, like some things I'm definitely like, I have a strong opinion on, but there's other things I've noticed I'm a lot more open-minded and willing to give the benefit of the doubt to someone who, like, let's say does something that's like upsetting to my friend.
Yeah.
And I won't be like, you know, I'll definitely validate my friend, but I'll be a lot more like, okay, let's just like see how this plays out.
Yeah.
You don't know what's going on in this person's life.
Yeah.
You know, like, let's try to just give the benefit of the doubt and like be a little bit more open-minded. Whereas in the past, I used to just be like, oh, if this person did this, like, goodbye, no.
It's the same kind of conversation as like when you're younger and someone's being mean to you and your parent just tells you it's because they're jealous of you. And it's like, that's not the case.
Yeah.
It's like, let's actually dissect and see like maybe why they're being,
you
know? And so I would say it's kind of the same. Like, we're a lot more self-aware. We've changed our minds on so many different things, as I'm sure it will continue to change. And honestly, I think it's good to have relationships in your life that you all think differently. Because if everyone thought the exact same,
they're not learning anything.
No, and
not
also,
growing.
and that's not to say you can't agree on things. Like, I think a lot of my friends were like-minded people, but we have different values sometimes.
You know what? This is an interesting one. I'm not fully sold on it, but I'm also not fully against it anymore.
What?
I used to be so against the thought that there was potential for like an afterlife, like your spirit goes into this other realm or whatever it is.
But you're saying you didn't believe that?
I never believed in that. I believe that there is, like, I don't think there's this old man in the sky that's like, you know, a real like a person kind of
no
thing.
You don't believe in like a god of like it being like a man, or like that Jesus is whatever.
Well, I believe that there's, first of all, my belief is that the whole point of life is about love. That's just what I believe. Not just in romantic partners, but like love, connection, love, you know, the trees, the nature, the wind, yourself, like everyone, anything, just it all comes down to love. And I believe, like, I'm not opposed. I'm not going to say I believe it, but I'm not opposed to the idea that we had this certain level of consciousness before coming into this world, and we're here to serve some type of purpose. And then once our life comes to an end, our consciousness leaves our body, and like, I don't know how to explain it, but anyways, I'm not,
I get it.
I'm not opposed to believing that anymore, because I have seen so many.
I didn't know you were so, like, you didn't believe in it. I thought you were like me.
No.
Oh.
I really didn't believe it, but I like wouldn't talk about it with people.
Maybe
like
that's why I just assumed.
Yeah, I like never really spoke about it, but like I definitely believe that there's like something beyond just.
To me, there's definitely a higher power. Like it makes sense. Like the universe. There's so much that we can't explain that I just feel like in my gut there is something. I believe my children, their souls were ready to come down when they were meant to come down.
Yeah.
Like that's truly what I believe.
Yeah.
And the embryo that like I lost and that I didn't get to like that was that soul. And I named that soul, and that's why I didn't want to use that name for my next baby, because that was that. Like I believe in that.
Yeah. I very much believe in that stuff. I used to think that it sounded crazy,
but it's just because you knew.
But well, because I just, you know, as you get older and like you change, your opinions change for many reasons. Yeah.
I used to have an opinion. I used to really be judgmental over people that like were atheists and be like, there's nothing exists. Like you're dying, you're in the ground. And I'd be like, that is such an awful way to live. And I used to like be very judgmental over that, because I always believed in something. I was very spiritual. I've always been that way. Now I don't care. I'm like, whatever. Who cares? If you can believe that way, I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Don't try to tell me that's what it is, because I'm not going to believe you.
Yeah.
But like, and you can think it's stupid all you want, but great.
Well, that's exactly it. It's like, yeah, there's just your opinion changes so much. Like it's not just your opinion that changes. You as a person change so much. And like something that you would have enjoyed even a year ago could be something that you would not enjoy at all anymore, you know? Like sometimes I think back to my life just 1 year ago, and then 2 years ago and 3 years ago, like everything was so different. It's crazy.
I think back, and I think I said this in one of the last podcast episodes, like how different my life would have been in my 20s if I didn't have anxiety when it came to like travel and stuff. Like how much I would have enjoyed. And then you had made a comment of like, yeah, but you needed to like go through that in order to grow and to change and to be who you are now. And to appreciate
it this much.
Exactly. And I agree. After that conversation, I was really thinking about it. And there was one night I woke up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom, and I couldn't fall asleep. And I was thinking just about that in general, and how when I'm in my 60s and I look back at now being in my 30s, and I'm going to be like, wow, that was half my life ago. I was so young. Like, don't focus your life so much on being like regretful over things you didn't do in your 20s or that you couldn't experience properly. Like, live it up now. Move forward now.
You know what? It's crazy that you're bringing this up, because lately I've been having so many moments where I'm like, I'm 32 years old. I'm still young. The thought of me being old is all in my head.
Yeah.
It's in my head. I'm still so young.
You're so young.
I don't want to look back at my youth and my 30s especially and be like, it was all wasted because I couldn't just enjoy things. I couldn't just accept myself.
Yeah.
Or, you know, all these things that were holding me back. And Dad says this to me all the time. He goes, I wish I could go back to my 20s and be in my 20-year-old body, but have the experience and the wisdom that I have now and take it back with me.
Whoa.
And I'm like, that always stuck with me. And that's always why, like, the perspective that I'm trying to lead with now is like, no matter what, at the end of the day, we're all going to pass away.
Yeah. And it's the one guaranteed thing in life.
It's the one guaranteed thing in life. And, you know, when you're young and even when you're not, like, even when you're getting older, like, aging is a beautiful thing. Life is beautiful. If you're aging, like, that's a privilege. It is. Know? Not everyone gets the privilege to age.
I know.
You know? But, like, especially when you're younger and, you know, you still feel your best physically.
Yeah.
It's like enjoy it. Not everything is the end of the world.
And it's so hard because even now, like a lot of my friends, they have like early teen kids, and I'm hearing like the stuff they're going through, and like they're trying to explain to them like, you have so much life to live, like not like invalidating them, saying like it's not a big deal, but it's like I remember that feeling when I was young, being like this is the end of the world, because it was the end of my world, because that was all my world. That was my world. You don't have experience, you only gain it by growing up and aging.
But also, even as you age, like the older you get, you know, I see all these videos where it's like, you know, when you're in your 30s, you stop caring as much what people think, and like you feel a lot more secure in yourself and all this stuff. And all of that is very much true. But that also takes away the fact that when you're in your 30s, okay, yeah, it does not everything feels like a freaking life crisis like in your 20s, but like you still have like moments of, you
and
know what I mean? It's
I don't like when people say stuff like that, like in your 30s you'll feel this and in your 40s you feel that, because as a human you're gonna feel different, and everyone's maturity level is different. Like I've always been on the more immature side of things, like my whole life I've always felt not connected to my age. I don't know why. I've done a lot of therapy about this. It's very complicated, but like it's like I hated that pressure of like you need to be feeling a certain way, or you will be feeling this way, because then if I didn't feel that way, I would be
you feel like what's wrong with me.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with you. Some people are mature at 22. Some people are immature at 52. Like you just have to kind of go based off of your own timeline and based off of your own maturity level. And I see it now as like when I go to the doctors and I bring my kids and they're measuring their height and their weight, and I'm like, oh, is that good? And they say they're following their own curve. They follow their own curve. Yes, there's a generalized thing, but every child is different. And it's the same thing with us as adults. We need to follow our own curve for life.
Exactly. And like there's like, of course, just naturally as you grow up, as you age, the more experience you have, you're gonna take like more wisdom with you, and you're gonna understand things better. You're gonna eventually like feel more comfortable within yourself.
Yes,
as opposed to when you were younger and stuff. But
you do have to do some self-work. I do have to say that.
Yeah, you have to do self-work, and like when you turn a certain age, it's not like you turn 30 and boom.
No.
You know what I mean?
It's slowly over time, and it's when you really look back at situations and you're like, whoa, I would have done that differently, or I see that clearer now, or oh my gosh, I don't feel that way anymore.
Exactly.
And just because you vocalized thinking a certain way, doing something a certain way, wanting to do something a certain way, if you change your mind, that is okay. You are allowed. And there should be no one that is telling you are not allowed to do that, because you are allowed.
Exactly.
And I think that concludes this conversation for today.
What a uplifting, motivational, inspirational.
I'm feeling motivated, and I feel like for us, like I mean, we don't really do this, but we probably should do this. Like sit down and have like little goals for like what we want. We should. And I just feel like kind of like tuning into our own power and knowing like what we bring to the table and what we can bring, and like the direction that we want to go and the things that we want to do. We have so much potential, and we have so much freedom in a lot of ways. And I just think that
I agree.
Like I'm excited.
Also, I feel like one last thing that I will end this on, something that I'm really working on, is just like changing my perspective on a lot of things. And I find when you work on your perspective to be a lot more like positive, but also not just because it's also okay to have moments. But like when you work on your perspective and like you start feeling better about yourself. And when you start feeling better about yourself, you just make better decisions.
It's what they say, what you put out into the universe comes back to you. So like if you're constantly just choosing the negative things, or you're like, I find when I'm in challenging parts of my life and I'm just seeing the negative in everything,
and then everything goes wrong.
Exactly. Like, and that's not to say that you can't have moments, right? But it's like what Kyla's saying. If you are choosing to see things in a more positive way and to make those active decisions of the outlook of your life.
And it's messy, it's confusing, it can feel discouraging at times, it can feel like impossible, but
sometimes things have to happen in order for growth to happen.
Yeah.
Like sometimes you really have to be set back a lot in order for you to learn to move forward in a different direction and the better direction.
And like appreciate things
yes.
too. Anyways. Whoa.
Jinx, personal drinks, buy me a Coke. We love you guys, and we will talk to you next week.
Bye.
Bye.